Okay, so for our next story right over here, we're going to be talking about Samurai Jack. Specifically, what happened during the finale of it, the 5th season of Samurai Jack, which was one of the biggest television events of the year. And yes, I say that even next to stuff like Game of Thrones and Rick and Morty and so much more. It really was a huge moment seeing the comeback of Samurai Jack and him finally going back to the past and destroying Aku. Like, finally, we can finally see that moment in front of our eyes. Like, now Samurai Jack can rest. Or will he? Because Sci-Fi Wire actually had an interview with the creator, Genndy Tartakovsky, regarding everything that happened in Season 5. And going into my source on Toon Zone, it actually highlighted 3 of the biggest questions, or at least, or 4 of them, actually. Yeah, it highlighted 4 big questions regarding overall of Season 5 of Samurai Jack. And that includes the tone that Genndy wants to do for the entire Season 5, like what would be the biggest story arc, what he wished he could have done, like what he could have done more to the finale of Samurai Jack, how he feels about the ending, and also about the potential future of Samurai Jack. Is there even going to be a future of Samurai Jack? Now, before I continue, I just want to give out a big warning. Now, what I'm going to say is going to contain some spoilers regarding Season 5 of Samurai Jack. Now, if you guys have not seen it yet, and you're interested in seeing it, and you don't want any more spoilers, you don't want to hear how it ends and stuff like that, then I recommend just skipping ahead. Don't listen to this part at all. But if you don't care about spoilers or you have already seen Season 5 of Samurai Jack, then we can pretty much continue. Now, I just want to start things off by saying that I have seen Season 5 of Samurai Jack. I've seen all 5 seasons, and yeah, back then in the early 2000s, I remember watching episodes of Samurai Jack, and Season 5, I've got to say, it really is awesome. Like, I feel like Adult Swim and Genndy Tartakovsky really nailed it, and it's finally fantastic that I'm able to see Genndy Tartakovsky back into what he does best. You know, finally, like, we could take a freaking break from all the Hotel Transylvania crap, and we could see him back doing what he is known for, basically making great animated series. And this is definitely the case with Samurai Jack, where it really does nail it in the visual factor and also in the action. It really is fantastic. I wouldn't say it's the best thing to ever come out of television. There are some flaws, but honestly, overall, I feel like it is definitely awesome with what the crew has done with Samurai Jack. Now, going into the questions that they have asked, one of the big ones is actually regarding what is the big story arc that Genndy wanted to do for Samurai Jack in Season 5. And what Genndy stated in there, he said, from the inception of the arc, it wasn't just about Jack going home. The story that I really was telling is regarding love, going through the ups and downs. People not knowing that's where we were heading was great. I know some people were frustrated with the romance, but that was the whole thing. We were going to have Jack fall in love for good or for bad. He's never done it to this level. The challenge to us as filmmakers and as storytellers was to see if we could make people something if we do it right. Okay, now, as much as I gave praise to Season 5 of Samurai Jack, I'm just going to say right now that I actually am one of those people that's not necessarily that big of a fan of the love angle that they're trying to do with Samurai Jack and Ashi. I know it definitely has a huge fan base going on, especially they love to see the love angle with Jack and Ashi, and I know there's a lot of people who have a huge crush on Ashi, but for me, I feel like the romance aspect is definitely one of the weaker assets of Samurai Jack Season 5. I'll explain a little bit more on the main reason why a little later, but for me, I just feel like the whole romance angle, it just feels pointless. I feel like if you take away the love aspect and you just make Jack and Ashi just friends, like, nothing could change. I feel like there's nothing that the romance really added onto season 5 of Samurai Jack, to be honest. I mean, the only point that I really saw it had, and it actually added something to season 5, was the scene when Ashi was fighting with Jack, where they were in this abandoned place, and then suddenly parasites were going after both of them. And apparently the parasites were eating off Ashi's clothes, and then, like, while Jack was fighting them off, he looks at her, "Ashi, you're naked!" And, like, basically you do have a little bit of this comedic, this comedic tangent between the two while they were fighting off these parasites, and Jack is trying to cover her up with his own clothes, saying, like, "I must go and protect you from me, I mean from these parasites." You know, okay, that I have to admit, that part was actually funny, but other than that, I feel like there's nothing really much added to the romance. I feel like there's no point to the romance. And I guess overall, it kind of shows the weakness not only to season 5, but also to Genndy Tartakovsky in general, because this and Hotel Transylvania really does prove that Genndy is not that great when it comes to handling romance in terms of storytelling. But I know there might be some people that could be mad at me for saying that, in the veins of how there were a lot of people that really got pissed off at me over the fact that I criticized the animation of Hotel Transylvania. In fact, I feel like on that asset, I know how Jack felt. Like, I'm just gonna be standing there, I wonder if I could convince people that this part actually has flaws. How dare you criticize Lord Tartakovsky? He is the god among animation! Maybe not. But yeah, like, I know there are some people who would go crazy over the Jack and Ashi romance, but for me, it really doesn't do much. It's honestly one of the weaker parts for me. Alright, but anyways, let's move on to the next question, where Genndy was asked if there was something that he wished he could have done more, if there's any little regrets that he would have for Season 5. And he said, "At the end of the day, we realized the episode, or the entire finale, should have been an hour-and-a-half movie. We still like the episode and how it turned out, but it's one of those things you realize to get the final satisfaction, to make the battle as epic as you want it to be. As I said earlier, the best of Jack is a simple idea executed greatly, and this was really 3 episodes in one. It felt a little rush in places, and we kept opening it up in the end to take a breath." And honestly, on that part, I really do understand, because when you do look into the history of Samurai Jack, that was one of the biggest things that Genndy Tartakovsky really wanted to do as a finale, because keep in mind, he didn't just want to do one final season to end off Samurai Jack. Originally, he planned the finale to be an entire movie. That's how he wants to go and kill off Aku. And he legit spent more than a decade to go and find a way to actually create a movie. And that's where he ended up jumping from places to places, from studio to studio. Like, he would ask New Line, he would ask Frederator, he would ask Sony, and he would ask Bad Robot Productions for all of them to see if he can actually make the Samurai Jack movie that he wanted to ultimately conclude the series. And it ultimately never happened. And the only thing he can do is just go to Adult Swim, like, to take a big break from Sony Animation and that entire mess that happened over there, and, you know, to actually make something based on Samurai, you know, to actually do some kind of Samurai Jack revival, and to ultimately end off the series, like, just to get that done so that he can move on with his life. And honestly, I do understand the regret. Like, I get it if Genndy still has that part in him that he still wish that he wanted to make the movie that he would love to see. But at least now he did work with the materials that he have in order to craft it. And rather it be a movie or just an entire season, it's honestly fantastic. And I would have been excited for either one of them. But honestly, with the finale that we got, I feel satisfied with it, but I don't blame him if he still has those little regrets. And then we also have another question right over here, which is the way it ended in itself, how he feels about the entire finale in terms of the story. Now, forget about the format of how it's presented. What about the way that it ended itself? And Genndy has stated, I know there was some criticism from those who wanted a happy ending, but there was no way in my mind that it could be purely happy because that's not a samurai's lot in life. It's bittersweet. Okay, now this is also another problem that I do have with Season 5 of Samurai Jack. Now, it's not really the fact that it's bittersweet. You know, I do admire that you want to end it off that way. For me, the problem, it's how it's executed. Again, going back into the problem of the romance angle between Jack and Ashi, this is probably the reason number one why it feels pointless, why it feels like it doesn't have any connection with anything else that's going on in the plot. Because this entire romance angle, it ultimately goes into this stupid ending. Honestly, it's the bitter part that just makes no sense. It feels like the crew is trying to build up this entire romance angle to really, to ultimately make it where Ashi ends up dying in a way that it feels ridiculous. Because here's the thing. If you guys don't remember, the moment after Jack would finally kill off Aku, both Jack and Ashi would return to his home, and everybody is happy, and now they decided to go organize a wedding. So they spend days waiting and to have everybody from all around the world to go and see the big wedding between Jack and Ashi. But then, in the middle of the wedding, when the bride marches to go see her groom, Ashi would just fall down. She looks at Jack and says, "Hey, you know what? I just realized something. You killed my dad, right? So technically, that means I shouldn't exist." And then, she's gone. Literally, after, a brief pause moment, you gotta have an entire time to really set up the wedding, to wait for everybody to come in, only for Ashi to have that realization that she shouldn't even be there in the first place. Okay, that's just stupid. I'm sorry, but that was a little bit ridiculous. If you want to go and do that ending where Ashi disappears because, Jack killed off Aku, she should have disappeared right at the moment Jack killed off Aku. That should be the moment where she disappeared. But no, you gotta delay that thing. You gotta make it so that it coincidentally happens at Jack's wedding. I mean, come on. That's a little bit ridiculous. Now, granted, even though the bitter part is dumb, I will give it that the sweet aspect, the scene that happened right afterwards, that was well executed. That I actually do like. Where you see Jack, he's sad over Ashi being gone and he can no longer see her again. And then, you see the little ladybug, which is kind of a symbolism of Ashi. And he feels at peace, where he feels happy with himself. And then you do see the scene, where you see Jack next to the tree. Now, that scene, honestly, I feel like it's a good way to end it off. That feels very nice. That was good. But it's honestly that stupid wedding that makes no sense. So it's not the fact that it's bittersweet that's the problem. It's mostly the way that it's executed. And also, that really is a problem why the romance angle feels absolutely pointless. I mean, come on! You could do better than this, Genndy. Why do you have to go in a direction that just feels kind of dumb? Okay, but anyway, so that's my little criticism about the end of Samurai Jack, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that way regarding the ending, because I've talked with some people regarding the ending of Samurai Jack, and yeah, they do feel like it is kind of dumb how it ended as well, and how like the whole wedding scene just makes it absolutely nonsensical, seriously. But anyways, let's go on to the final question, and probably the big one that they asked is regarding the future of Samurai Jack. That even though the series is over, would Genndy Tartakovsky consider bringing back Samurai Jack? And this is what he has to say. I know better than to say never. I was watching this Disney documentary, and I'm not Disney, but I was thinking about Mickey Mouse, and he became an icon. Walt moved on to other things, but he made him exist. I was thinking, wow, is Samurai Jack my Mickey Mouse? Am I stupid to stop working on it? Yet at the same time, there was a good story told with Jack, so who knows in the future? So that's the thing, is that even though right now he did fully stop Samurai Jack, he is putting it in consideration to bring him back. And if I could put in my personal opinion on this, I feel like Genndy should not. Honestly, we're done with Samurai Jack. I mean, we have seen the finale that we have been waiting for years. I mean, like, it's been 16 years since audiences really want to see Samurai Jack actually go back to the past and destroy Aku to save his family and to save his people. But honestly, bringing him back, it just doesn't make any sense, because, like, at that point, what else do you have? Because the main story of Samurai Jack is legit. Like, you gotta go back to the past and try to destroy Aku. Simple as that. Now that we have seen it, the story should be done. It's over. I mean, we got the complete series of Samurai Jack. Adding in more, I feel like, honestly, you're just trying to keep him alive for no reason. I mean, there are some things you should just stop and leave it be as it is. Even if the TV channels and stuff like that would want you to continue more of it. You know, like, and there are some TV people that, you know, even though they know very well that their TV show is absolutely beloved, they want to stop it at a right point. You know, they got to stop it at the point where it feels like it's the right time to do so, to tell this one big story. I mean, this is exactly why Avatar: The Last Airbender and Gravity Falls actually stopped pretty shortly, like after just a few seasons. You know, like, the success is not necessarily measured by how long a TV show can go. It's not like in the veins of The Simpsons or South Park, but the impact that it has, and all it wants to do is just tell a really good story. And I feel like that's what Genndy should do with Samurai Jack, you know? He told a great story about a samurai who somehow got stuck in the future, and he should leave it as that. I mean, if Genndy really does need a Mickey Mouse, like if Genndy Tartakovsky really needs to have a Mickey Mouse for his career, then honestly, I think the perfect one should be Dexter's Laboratory, because that one has more potential to actually bring him back and actually create some more ideas into it. That one feels like you have more of an idea of all the different possibilities what you can do with Dexter. The point of Dexter's Lab is not necessarily to tell this one big story. It's about a concept about a little boy who's more intelligent than any other kid that he would know about, and he has this secret laboratory in his room. Like, it's all based on this concept instead of just telling this entire linear story. So you have more potential to create more ideas with Dexter's Lab. So I'm pretty convinced that, like, if Genndy Tartakovsky would ever decide to finally quit Sony Pictures Animation and reject all the Hotel Transylvania stuff that they would offer him, that he would go to Cartoon Network and ask Cartoon Network if he can go and bring back Dexter's Lab, they'll say absolutely yes, especially nowadays when Cartoon Network really does have an obsession with creating reboots to animated series, especially the fact that they have found major success with shows such as Teen Titans Go, the Powerpuff Girls, and Ben 10. So I can honestly see that happening more. Or in fact, like when it comes to Genndy Tartakovsky, one thing that people would love to see from him is something original. Or maybe like he could also technically go back to Sym-Bionic Titan as well, because he did actually consider that also to bring that back. But honestly, bringing in an original animated series from Genndy Tartakovsky, I think that is something that people would love to see more. I mean, the guy already has a huge fan base, and I can understand that he wouldn't want to go and create something new, create something original, especially how he got really badly treated at Sony Pictures Animation, where he was pretty much not allowed to do anything non-Hotel Transylvania related. Like, they took his ideas for Popeye and Can You Imagine and just ripped them to shreds, and all they did is just tell him, go back to work with Adam Sandler. You have nothing else to do here. And honestly, like, I can imagine, like, yeah, sure, that could probably break his spirits, but if he can move on, if he can just quit Sony and actually do something original, that would honestly be fantastic. That would keep his creative juices flowing instead of just working on properties that he has already created. So honestly, I feel like a better idea would be just to go and do something new or do something else other than Samurai Jack, because at this point, Jack is done. Let's just move on from something else. But yeah, that's pretty much my entire thoughts on it. Not only some of my criticisms towards Season 5, but also on the future of Samurai Jack and what they could do. And I will say, however, if there's one way that if Genndy Tartakovsky really wants to do more stories of Samurai Jack, then honestly, don't bring him back as a series. Just bring him back in comics or something like that. That one, like, it's more okay that you can actually do TV shows and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying on that department, if you want to make more Jack, then just do it in comic form. Don't bring him back on television. On that aspect, just go and think of something new. But yeah, that's my entire talk with Samurai Jack. So yeah, definitely, like, if you guys haven't seen Season 5, definitely go ahead and check it out.